Welcome everybody to week 6 of Your Fielder's Choice, the show before the show. We are back at it again. My name is John Maffa. I'm joined as always by Mike Mislinski and Devin Frank. Boys, what's going on?
Another week in the books. This season is flying by, and Miz has his yoo-hoo already on stream.
We're moving so quick. Miz went backwards. That's how fast we're moving. He's living in 1995 in his Umbro shirt, sipping on a yoo-hoo. You look like
man,
you could fit in.
I don't want this to ever end. I just want to live in this moment right here.
I live for these moments too. This show, this is what gets me through my day. But yeah, we're back. Another week in the books is right. Before we move forward, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the website. Head over to yourfielderschoice.com right now. We're running that deal through the month of October, maybe beyond. $25 for your first 2 months. And that gives you access to everything. You got the cheat sheets, the niche sports, the big sports, the access to the Discord, the premium membership, you name it, we got it. One of the best deals in the biz going around right now, if I do say so myself. So head over to yourfielderschoice.com and be sure to, you know what, give this video a like too while you're at it. While you're doing stuff for us, go give this video a like. Get us up there, comment if you want, make fun of Miz, make fun of me, make fun of Devin, who cares? Just do something, get this stuff going, or just give us compliments too, because, you know, nobody likes a bully. But anyways, let's start off like we always do, review some of the power rankings according to ESPN for this week. And honestly, there really has been not much change, at least in the top 5. All the big teams won this week, some more handedly than others. But number 1, we got the Bills. I think they had a statement game on Sunday. They kind of, you know, hushed the doubters. And also maybe we should be a little bit weirded out by the Chiefs and what they're doing. But the Bills stay at number 1 here. Josh Allen putting on a show the last couple of weeks. The Bills are rocking and rolling for sure. Bills Mafia all the way.
Yeah, I think I agree, though. I think that was more of a statement about the Chiefs. Been saying all season that defense has some serious issues.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we said it before the season even started. I remember that was always the question. We were like, is the defense really good, or are they a product of how good the offense is? And I think we're kind of getting our answer here. But Miz, anything you got to say about the Chiefs? I know you were about to say something.
They, you know, it's just nuts because they're trying to keep everything in front of Patrick Mahomes and not blitz him, and he has to figure out and actually make reads and not try to push it over top of the defense.
Yep. I actually got some interesting
keeping him in the pocket, not letting him slip up in the
interesting stats on that fact alone that I will bring up a little bit later in the show. Coming in here at number 2, the Cardinals, big win over the 49ers. Actually a close, not as close as a game as the score would indicate if you watch the game. The Niners hung in there, but ultimately Cardinals were just a better team. I'll take a big chug of wine here as I say that. Trey Lance is now hurt, but the Cardinals doing work. They're undefeated, the last undefeated team. They deserve to be in the number 2 spot as long as that it keeps up.
Yep. I mean, just keep winning. So
Kyler's got a shoulder injury.
He does.
Last year, listen, we saw last year what happened to him when he hurt his shoulder. Fantasy production went way down.
And their winning went down.
Yeah, so exactly. Be on the lookout for that. He's might not be much of a slam dunk as he has been.
Yeah, no, I mean that whole game changed once he got that injury. I mean, I was watching it because I got the package so I can watch Niners games, and they were moving the ball really nicely, and then all of a sudden it came out that he had that shoulder injury, and it's on his throwing arm. So just something definitely to watch there. Again, that we'll talk about that in a little bit. Coming in at number 3, another NFC West team, may have forgotten, but they handed Seattle a loss last Thursday. That's the Rams. No change there. They were number 3 last week. That makes total sense. Coming in at number 4, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady, pretty good.
That was my dust. I've had one terrible dust a week on this show, and the funny thing is I was right and wrong all at once. My whole reason was the game script was going to get away from him, and it did. But they just said, screw that, and just kept throwing the damn ball. That was unreal.
Dude, yeah, Tom put on a show on Sunday, and if you played him in a couple of lineups, at least in GPP, you fared pretty well. With Mrs. Boy, yeah.
Wait. Who scored? Wait. What?
I think he scored. Didn't he score multiple times?
He scored twice. He had a monster game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Miz is the AB whisperer. And
that's why you watch on the live stream, because Miz said Antonio Brown will score.
Yeah, you guaranteed.
And I said Leonard
Fournette got laughed off the stream, guys.
Yeah. I did laugh at you, and I said I would bring it up on Wednesday. So this is me eating my own dog food. I get it. You were right. I was wrong. Number 6 here, we got the Cowboys. Previously number 8, they bumped up. Cowboys, we've spoke about this on the show before. They look good. I'm not really convinced that they're amazing by beating up the Giants, because the Giants were ravaged by injuries that game. Poor Daniel Jones looked like he got knocked into last universe or last year.
He was foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, that was crazy. It actually was a little scary. He was foaming at the mouth, which is nuts.
He might even play this week, though. That's the crazy part.
I know these guys are just a different breed.
I don't know how that works.
If I was foaming from the mouth from an injury last Sunday, I would call out of my desk job at work for the next 2 weeks, let alone go play a football game.
Daniel Jones, he looked like Miz this entire week, just drinking Yoo-hoo and wearing some shirts from the 90s.
Yeah.
Wearing a helmet. Wearing his helmet around.
Moving on here, number 7, the Chargers with the heartbreaking win over your Browns. I thought the Browns were going to pull it out, honestly. I actually liked the Browns in that game.
Awesome game. I did not see that coming.
That game was kind of nuts. It was tit for tat. Like, it was like score. I was following along on my app, and I was like, what is going on in LA? They were
that was insanity.
What was the final score? Do you remember?
It was like 80 points, I think.
Yeah, there was over 80 points.
That's what I'm saying. It was like 80 points scored.
The Browns are the first team in NFL history to have that sort of offensive production with no turnovers and not win the game.
Jesus, that's
yeah. They had some injuries in the secondary right away. Really hurt them. Mike Williams just destroyed them from there. They were playing like a rookie who they picked up off a practice squad or something for a little bit in that game. So as a Browns fan, I don't put a ton of stock into it, but if you're a Chargers fan, you should be excited. That team is good.
I mean, they're an offensive powerhouse with Herbert and the receivers and Eckler.
They're so good.
Ravens here coming in number 8, squeaked one out on Monday night, Miz. I know you probably got a lot to say about Lamar, but that game was nuts. They got outplayed for most of that game, but then Lamar turned it up at the end there. Pretty crazy game if you're a Ravens fan. Pretty crazy game if you're a football fan, but
yeah,
Ravens fan, you sweat that one out.
Especially if we have a mutual friend that lost an under on that game too. That's the worst way to lose an under. I mean, it's terrible. You got to think you're coasting home, 4th quarter. All right, I'm going to bed. You may even get a shower. You get in your bed, and then the game's about to be over, and you fucking lost an over. It's horrible.
I mean, if you are regularly betting the NFL, you are not alone there. So people get heartbreaks like that all the time. I get it. I mean, I was on the good side of that. I actually had the Ravens, and I was on the flip side. I actually thought I was dead, and then all of a sudden I flipped the channel because I was watching some baseball too. Flipped the channel back, and I was like, holy shit, I'm very much alive. So yeah, you win some, you lose some. That's the beauty of it, right?
Lamar Jackson is the best player, not just quarterback, just player in the entire league.
Right now.
Hard to argue with what he just did.
Just player, just total player. Just you turn on the TV, you would love to watch him every single time.
I mean, he's a Madden simulation. He's
unbelievable. It's honestly unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Watching him go around, even some of his runs for 12 yards were a real minute and a half of action, from snap to finish. I was like, he just ran around the field for 2 minutes and only got 12 yards, but he zigzags everywhere. It's insane how he makes.
He's dropping dimes, dude. He's dropping dimes too. It's scary. He might have figured it out. He really honestly might have figured it out.
His accuracy is really, really coming together, and it's scary.
You know who has to figure it out, though? That defense, because they do not.
We had some injuries, especially Deshaun Elliott, captain of the D-backs back there.
We'll see. I mean, it's early, but we'll see. I mean, obviously that that offense goes as far as Lamar takes them, it looks like.
Yeah.
Number 9, we talked about them a little bit, the Browns, previously number 6, tough loss. I think, though, all things considered, you got to be happy with what you've seen so far from the Browns.
Yes, they'll be fine. Get Landry back, get healthy.
I don't know anything about their schedule, Dev. How's their schedule down the road?
Their schedule's decent. I mean, this was sort of the tough stretch in the beginning. It's a good division, though. It's not exactly looking forward to playing, the Ravens, and the Steelers looked a little better, and the Bengals.
All of a sudden, the Bengals are good now. Like
the Bengals are much better than people realize.
Yeah. And then bottoming out this top 10 is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Really shouldn't be in the top 10 in all reality, but I get it.
Yeah. I think I don't have it written down here, but I think number 11 is the Titans. Are they as bad as the Titans? Are the Titans deserving of these
Titans
numbers?
shouldn't be 11 either.
Why are the Titans 11? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, these are power rankings. Like, we don't make these rankings. We're just reporting on it and just like kind of talking about.
Although I will say, if you look at the standings, it's a very, very top heavy league this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are a handful of about 9-10 really, really good teams. And then everybody else is kind of like, I don't realistically see anybody outside of that top 9 or 10 teams winning it all.
Yeah, that's true. So that's the top 10. Obviously, there's way more than 10 teams in the league, but we only cover that on this show. So we'll check back in next week, see if anything's really changed. This is the first week where the previous team that was number 1 stayed at number 1. So, I mean, that's just the NFL for you, right? There's parity everywhere. So
top 5, no changes like you mentioned. They all won.
Yep. Moving on here, we got some news from the past week, couple of injuries that we want to touch on. Some maybe just noise, not really news, some actually news. So I am filing this one under the noise category, but Mike Williams with a knee injury did not practice on Wednesday. The only reason why I'm bringing it up is because he quietly left the game on Sunday, but he did come back. Now, I'm imagining you watched the game in its completion, Devin. I did not. I was just watching it through Red Zone or my app, but Mike Williams did leave that game, and I mean, he finished it, but that could just that could be an adrenaline thing. Who knows? It's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of Wednesday practices are when guys do get held out, kind of that precautionary day. So I wouldn't put a ton into that one. Like you said, that one's probably just fine.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, not at the flip side, but on the receiver side here, speaking of some more noise, Adam Thielen with a foot injury and Justin Jefferson with an ankle injury were both held out of practice. Again, these are things, I mean, Justin Jefferson's been killing it this year. Adam Thielen was killing it, although he saw very limited targets last week, and he had pretty much a down week as far as he goes. I think he only dropped like 6 points. But in general, what do you think about this? This is something to keep an eye on. I mean, I mentioned 2 guys, so I think Justin Jefferson is just fine. Maybe Adam Thielen, give a little bit more stock to that. I don't know.
Well, Adam Thielen did score last week, but it was called back due to a hold, which was sort of ticky-tacky maybe. But on that play, it looks like that might have been the play that he did something to his foot, but I still think he should be okay. Like, they were, from what I was reading, it seemed like they would just give him some rest.
I definitely have more concern for Thielen though, because he has been injured and missed some time in the past. But I agree. I think just kind of we're into that point. We're deep enough into the year where these guys are getting some maintenance days. Yeah,
I agree there. Somebody who was hurt last week actually didn't play on this next one. Chris Carson with a neck injury did not practice Wednesday. However, Pete Carroll said that the plan is for him to practice tomorrow, which would be Thursday. By the time people are watching this, you'll have the answer to know if he did practice. But they're going to need Chris Carson if the Seahawks are going to compete here.
Yeah.
The Russell Wilson injury, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks, I think it is. With the injury. They need Chris Carson. I'm high on Chris Carson if he can play, depending on the matchup, obviously. But I don't know. He didn't practice Wednesday. We'll hope I don't really hope he comes back. Not from an injury standpoint, but from like a Niners standpoint.
A Niners fan,
Yeah, exactly. That has nothing to do with him personally. But But yeah, in general, Carson planning to play this week. That's what they're gonna do, run him out there.
I mean, Seahawks are in trouble. That's defense is terrible.
Yeah, and now you got who is it? Geno Smith at the helm.
Yeah,
good for Seattle. So yeah, they need all the offensive firepower they can get. That also subsequently kills any DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett value.
Yeah.
Those guys were having pretty decent years. Tyler Lockett was blowing up early. Unfortunately, like you said, if I'm going Seattle here, like I'm probably staying away from a lot of those pieces because they're going to be still highly priced, at least in the beginning, based off of like different algorithms that the sites use, I would imagine. I don't know per se what their price is this week. I don't have DraftKings up in front of me, or FanDuel for that matter, but they're still going to be up there. And I need to see something out of Geno Smith. And I'm a New Yorker. I've lived in New York when Geno Smith was a high draft pick and a starter. I just don't see it. Like, so I need to see something before I'm throwing a dart at DK Metcalf or something like that.
Tyler Lockett, think about how he gets all his big time touchdowns with this moonshot balls too deep. I don't think Geno has he might have the arm for it, but I don't know if he has the deep accuracy for all that. So he's probably going to take the biggest hit of them both because DK has been running the entire route tree this year.
I was just about to say, if I'm going to convince myself into either of those guys, it's going to be DK Metcalf because of his size and strength. The guy can catch a 10-yard pass and just beat somebody or beat them off the line, and then he's gone, with the yak. But yeah, I agree with that, Miz. A lot of Tyler Lockett's big plays are just moonshots from Russell that are thrown at 50 yards down the field. On the wide receiver front still, Julio Jones did return to practice today. Nice to see if you're just a Julio Jones fan. Nice to see if you're a Titans fan. He should get the okay to play this week, but we'll keep an eye on that. I don't know if I'm still playing him fresh off an injury, especially a hamstring injury, which stinks to say because Julio at one time was just Mr. Reliable, especially in the DFS space. But I don't know if I can do it right now.
It's been years at this point of injuries, on and off. Foot injuries. I mean, a hamstring now is really concerning on top of his typical foot injuries. It's just, I don't know how much this guy has left, which is a real shame.
Yeah. Staying on the injury front, Christian McCaffrey is 50-50 to play this week. I think they're playing the Vikings. So he didn't log a practice today on Wednesday. He did that last week too and ended up not playing. If I'm Carolina and I'm having the season I'm having, which is fairly positive, they're looking like they can maybe get like a wild card or even compete for the division. Oh, actually, probably not the division. I take that back. Tampa Bay is probably going to win that division easily. But they are looking like a decent team. You don't want to rush a guy like Christian McCaffrey back. Plenty of time, week 6. But yeah, he's 50-50. If he does play, he's Christian McCaffrey. It's no different than a Derrick Henry or, any of these other big name guys. Like you can jam them in your cash lineups and whatnot. But yeah, I guess we just got to wait and see with Christian McCaffrey.
If he doesn't play, Hubbard saw massive usage last week. He had 24 carries and then he had 6 targets. So that's McCaffrey-esque usage. So if he's out, you got to look at Hubbard.
Yeah.
You got to love the flop lag on that one. Everybody on Chubbard the week before and then basically unowned this past week.
Yeah, went nuts. Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yep. I mean, I got him here in GPPs. He was owned
6%, 6.5% or something.
Yeah, the site I'm using here, Fantasy Lab, says 5.4% of all major GPPs. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. The flop on that is obvious. Kyler, we talked about here. This last one, limited in Wednesday's practice. He does have an issue with his throwing shoulder, which is a concern. So we'll see. It did seem to affect him in that game against the Niners. Their offensive production slowed down heavily. I think it was Kyler, but he did say the Niners have the best defensive line in all of football. So maybe that's why things slowed down, but I'm attributing it more to the injury because the 49ers secondary is not very good. And he was picking them apart early. He had that nice catch from our boy, Rondell Moore, for like 30 yards, tiptoeing down the sideline.
The second time in like 3 weeks, Rondell Moore has gotten tackled at the 1 yard line. That dude's luck, but it was nice to see him involved again. He was very involved this week.
It's so funny what this show or just being part of this like crew does to me. Cause like I'm watching the game and obviously I'm a Niner fan. Rondell Moore has that catch. I'm like, oh man, like I didn't even have him on any teams. And my buddy's like, who the hell is Rondell Moore? I'm like, dude, I was like, me and my guys love Rondell Moore. Like, I was like, he's awesome. Like the poster boy for our show on Wednesdays and Sundays. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with their offense. Obviously, that Kyler is a big piece of that offense. So hopefully, if you're a Cardinals fan, he's healthy.
Just a quick note on Kyler. Obviously, the shoulder injury is a concern for DFS. The other concern with Kyler is what made him so spectacular last season is he was the red zone rushing attack. That has not been the case this year.
Right.
It's Connor. Connor's running the ball like 10 times a game, and they're all in the red zone. So that really, until Kyler's price comes down, he's going to be a hard play when you've got guys, when you've got guys
like Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold is that red zone threat without McCaffrey. So like, why not? He's probably close to $2,000 cheaper or $1,500 cheaper. And he's literally doing bootlegs on first and goal.
Yeah, he's getting more red zone action. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. He's doing what we want Kyler to do when you play him. But yeah, interesting stuff there. We'll see what happens with all those injuries. Just keep an eye out on that. We'll obviously talk about any major ones on the show on Sunday. Moving over to this next section.
You know what the happiest animal on earth is? It's a goldfish. You know why?
No.
Got a 10-second memory. Be a goldfish, Sam. Yeah?
Be a goldfish. Actually, I'm going to stop by saying we've been pretty on point with this section over the last week, 5 weeks or so. Guys we're mentioning on here are blowing up. A la Devonte Adams last week. We said, play him. Do not be afraid to play him. Don't be afraid of his low points. And he dropped about 40 points last week. Like, it's not guaranteed that everybody we talk about is going to blow up, but we have been pretty on point with our goldfish section, I will say. So pound on the back for us. That gets us nothing, maybe a couple of likes, but I'm just throwing that out there if anybody's listening. This is a section to pay attention to. What were you about to say, Miz?
Nope, go ahead.
You need another juice box? You good?
Maybe it's blanky.
Goldfish too for this section.
Goldfish are a staple in the Maffa household. I'll say that. So actually, looking through the numbers this week, I didn't see a lot of primary candidates for this section. Guys did show up that like were high priced, but like dropped shitty numbers. A guy, for example, like Terry McLaurin, right? We love Terry McLaurin. I think he's really good and talented, but like I'm looking at guys here in this section, which are pretty bulletproof, at least for the season that we're talking about. And Terry McLaurin, while he is very talented and good, he's on a kind of a team that like, he may not always be that consistent guy. Like a Devonte Adams that we mentioned last week, like that's out of character for him to have a dud. With the way the Washington football team plays football, it is very possible. Like if Terry McLaurin put a dud up, it's not that I'm shocked, put it that way. And so looking through this list, there wasn't too many shocking guys here that like really significantly underperformed for their price value. And that's also a key piece of this too, the price value, how much we're paying for them and what they're putting up. So number one on this list, another guy we talk about quite a lot, DJ Moore.
That was my guy this week.
Yeah, that was your guy this week. And we spoke about it before we locked our lineups in. We were trying to jam him in our cash lineups, 7,500. He dropped 8.8 points and was owned in 10.5% of GPPs. So DJ Moore, be a goldfish. He's having a great season. I don't really think he'll slow down much, especially without McCaffrey there. That was more Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold just did not have it. He couldn't throw the ball. It was really odd. Sam Darnold's been spectacular this season, and he just, sometimes it happens. Baker Mayfield 2 weeks ago was dreadful. Last week he was unreal. Yeah. This week Sam Darnold was terrible. So
Yeah, be a goldfish. Absolutely. DJ Moore's been unreal this year. Do not be scared to go back.
I was going to say that doesn't scare me off too much. This next guy, he was the pay up option at tight end for the week with no Kelsey on the main slate. Darren Waller, $7,400, 8.5 points, 6.6% owned in GPPs in a game that had 80 points. You're telling me that Darren Waller only had 8.5 points? That's bananas to me. I don't understand how that happens, but it does. And guess what? Kelsey was on our Goldfish section last week. The Chiefs were in a game where they dropped 5 touchdowns and not one of them went to Kelsey. He had a pretty much a dud week. This is a similar situation. Darren Waller, be a goldfish for sure here.
Gotta love that ownership, especially if you're telling me, now there's a high likelihood of this game getting up to 80 points or 60, 70, 80 points. And Darren Waller is going to be 6% owned. Like, you're going to play that every single time.
For real.
So this is probably like a 2% outcome if you played it out 100 times if this happens. Two, maybe 4. I can't see it.
I mean, we were talking about on the show on.
Yeah.
You got to talk on the show Sunday with Devin. I specifically brought up because he was the cream of the crop, right? When you're looking at the pricing, because no Kelsey, right? And Kittle's hurt. So you're looking at Darren Waller, and the next options that we spoke about were punts. It was Ricky Seals, Jones, right? And
Ross Dwelly.
Yeah, and Ross Dwelly from the Niners.
And Evan Ingram.
And Evan Ingram, okay? And I specifically remember bringing up, I was like, look, if I'm dropping 7,400 on my tight end, like, I need to know he's going to perform, right? If I had known, obviously I would never have known this, but if somebody were to tell me that, hey, John, there's going to be 80 something points scored in that game, I would have easily convinced myself to play him over a DJ Moore, over somebody else for that price, And so it is just a unique circumstance there where they drop that many points. It's literally just a shootout, and top 2 tight end in the league is dropping less than 10 points.
This is why this section is important, though, because if you're just looking at your phone or your lineups after, wherever you look at them at, whether it be in the computer or your phone, and you saw that, you're just going to instinctively, get mad at it and, kind of have create a bad bias about this whole situation. Whereas if you're actually thinking about it and talking about it, all right, look, well, 80 points, ownership percentage, both these things are in my favor. I'm playing him 100 times out of 100 times. And that's just, we just got bad luck that time.
That's a huge part of the DFS game, is just statistics and playing things out over a series of time, not just one specific instance, which is what this whole section is about. So I agree there. Moving over to a guy who has had a little bit of injury concerns this year, but did come back and play last week. I threw him on this list because he is a super talented guy. That's AJ Brown of the Tennessee Titans. It was Derrick Henry week, so obviously that takes a little bit away from his production. But knowing that it was Derrick Henry week, knowing that teams probably going to game plan for it. AJ Brown is coming back from an injury last week. Now he's back on it, second week and third, fourth, whatever. I think he still qualifies for be a goldfish. 6,500 last week, dropped only 6.8 points and was 7.5% owned in GPP tournaments.
I'm not even a Titans fan, but I'm going to be so frustrated if injuries rob this guy of his ceiling, because he's young and this is recurring at this point in his third or fourth season.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah. And he's a super talented guy, like you said.
Oh, he's a stud.
And if Julio can keep it together, plus Derrick Henry, it's like, who do you guard on that team? Who do you choose out of the game? Because the other two are just going to bite you in the ass. So
just guard the trainer so you can't get out there to help him off the field.
Yeah, exactly. Finally here, we spoke about this guy already. He qualifies for this section so long as he's not injured. Kyler Murray, $8,000, only dropped 13.66 points. That's not going to really cash in any lineup if you're spending that much money for a QB. 8% owned in GPP tournaments. So Kyler Murray, be a goldfish with the caveat that he is fully healthy.
Absolutely.
He's one of those dynamic plays. I mean, yeah, you got to monitor the goal line situations, but he's one of those dynamic fantasy players that get you points with his legs, get you points with his arm. Like he's a full package threat there. So, yeah, I threw him on this list. Obviously, if he's, got a sprained shoulder or something, you obviously should stay away from him. But all things considered, all things equal, I think it's safe to say he's not going to be dropping too many 13-point games in his career.
He'll probably have maybe one more this season.
Yeah.
That'll be it.
Hopefully it's against the Niners.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Dev, let's move over into some of the winning cash lineups. We already spoke about, some players from the previous week, some news, all that type of stuff. I'm going to share the screen here. Miz, be forewarned, you are on camera the entire time during this show. This is not the live stream where when Devin talks, you're not seen. So hang in there.
Thank you.
Maybe, yeah, give me a nod every now and
No,
again.
I was ready to go to the fridge. I can't yell for anybody. I got nobody here. Shame, man.
You hang in there. You hang in there. All right. So let's take a look at this this winning cash lineup. Hey, Miz, here's an idea. You could just comment on things we're talking about because it's a talk show. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these lineups. We got DraftKings here. A lot of these guys we talked about. Dak Prescott, Leonard Fournette, you loved. Alexander Madison, we got the news literally as we were on the show on Sunday that he was starting. We said he's
to play him. Yeah,
must start. We did mention Jamar Chase. We did talk about Devonte Adams. You loved Kadarius Toney. We talked about him as well.
Damn right we did.
That was a great punt option there at 4,000. Evan Ingram, we did speak about him. He was one of those guys that was mentioned in the same breath as Darren Waller, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Ross Dwelly. Derrick Henry, we said it from day one. Derrick Henry week, and then the Eagles defense.
Okay, real quick, just in case anybody hasn't seen the show by now, these plays are directly from our cheat sheet, and they were labeled as cash viable plays. So the whole point of this section is to show you, what could have happened just using our cheat sheet plays. Very small list of players each position really helps you dial in what you're looking at instead of looking at a couple hundred players. You're only looking at a handful at each position, and we do this every week, and you can see it's constantly putting up monster scores that are going to finish in the top 5% of GPPs. Going to cash in all your cash games with ease, and most of these lineups have been, they make a ton of sense. There are a lot of plays that we specifically talk about, we specifically write up. Like you already said, for instance, we specifically talked about everybody in this DraftKings lineup with the exception of, we did mention Jamar Chase.
We mentioned the Bengals receivers. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we mentioned. So literally this entire lineup.
I wrote them up as my top stack.
And you wrote them up as your top stack and talked about them on the show as well. So the Sunday show, we literally talked about this entire lineup. I was
going to say, even if you take Jamar Chase out of it, we easily gave all of these guys a solid 1 to 2 minute review.
Yes. We essentially set you up on Sunday to score 185 plus. That's what we all did. That's what most of our customers did, because we were huge on the Toney play. And that's massive, because then it allowed you to get, I talked about fading Adams, but then I mentioned in the chat, once we got the Madison news, that kind of changed the slate a little bit. I mentioned in premium, again, another reason to be premium. I said, I'm playing Adams and I'm playing more. That's what I did. And I scored like 188 or something like that. Yep. This is interesting to note. This is the first week a running back is in the flex for this DraftKings lineup.
Yeah, I call that classic lineup, your classic.
Yes. So this is more the classic lineup, but again, we've been monitoring that, but I do want to keep making sure you realize that it's not, the NFL's changed a little bit. You can feel more confident running a wide receiver in the flex than ever before. So this is the first, it took 6 weeks for our DraftKings cheat sheet lineup to have a running back in the flex. Looking at Fanduel really quick, again, a lot of the same plays. There's that punt tight end that I love, Ricky Seals-Jones. Running back in the flex. We have seen more running back in the flex on Fanduel. That's partly due to pricing. FanDuel's been a little softer on some plays, like Najee Harris was very affordable over on FanDuel. So that's been more consistent over on FanDuel, the traditional style build. Notice though, the defense in both these scenarios, pretty cheap. The chalky play on FanDuel was New England defense at 5K. I said it right on the show. No way I'm paying 5K for defense. We see you didn't need to. They actually
lost that game straight up. They should have lost that game.
Yeah, they actually got smoked
God,
for the most part.
Oh my God, I had a Survivor.
Yeah, they survived all right too. So again, there's nothing fancy here. These are massive scores. All these guys made a ton of sense. All these guys were high on our cheat sheet. So just again, watch that Sunday show, utilize the cheat sheet. Week one was our only bad week. We've crushed every other week. It's been fantastic.
I've told that to people, my friends and just in general. I said, with the exception of week one, we've been pretty on point on Sundays with the stream. We spoke about Dak as being our pay up option for sure on Sunday. I personally didn't play him, but that's fine because I had a bunch of these other guys that I did play. Like out of all these guys, I probably had about 60 or 70% of them. I had Trey Lance instead of Dak Prescott. I had Ricky Seals Jones instead of Ingram. And then I had DJ Moore instead of Jamar Chase. But I was fine. I not at one point, Trey Lance had the afternoon game. And when you play cash games, I don't know if anybody's watching the show, the general strategy, and I can attribute this to Miz because he kind of helped train me up on this way back when you're playing these cash games, you want to kind of spread out your variance. So if you are playing, let's just say $50, you don't play one $50 game, you play 50 $1 games, right? So just on that off chance that you're in a prize pool or a pool of players that, is a little bit different, right? So you're not, all your eggs are in one basket. Before Trey Lance hit the field, if I'm playing, I usually try to play in 50-50s in my cash games in pools of 100 or 50. I was in the top 50% already before Trey Lance even hit the field because of guys like Kadarius Toney and then obviously Devonte Adams blew up too. But it's just one of those things. It's a science, and like Miz said before, you do these things with reason, and it's not on a week-to-week basis. It's a true belief system of why you're choosing guys, and you just stay true to it. And more times than not, you usually come out on the other side of it. It really just depends on how disciplined you are as a player and a gambler.
Couldn't have said it any better. Fucking young Padawan over here.
I'm gonna get my robe for the next
Spitting
one.
knowledge. Give him his black belt.
That's right.
Let's take a look over at the GPP section here. Miz, this is more your forte, but these are the winning Millie Maker lineups. Again, you'll see a lot of similar colors indicating that there was a lot of stacks, at least on the DraftKings side. You got Brady, Antonio Brown, your boy, Mike Evans. You have Alexander Madison, who was a must start basically as soon as that news broke. Sprinkled in with a couple of other one-offs here. Anything you guys say about this winning Millie Maker lineups on both DraftKings and FanDuel?
Well, yeah, it's got Antonio Brown on it, number one.
And what did we say before about Chuba Hubbard? He had 6% ownership.
Right.
Yeah.
Drops, a 20 point game. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. That's a perfect play too. I mean, it's not the best matchup per se for a running back, right? It's mainly I'm going to catch it out of the backfield type matchup for him, but he did pretty well all around. But outside of that, it's a Tom Brady double stack, which that scenario is the onslaught, in which that's what he got. He got the onslaught. He didn't have to get a bring back. Normally you got to get a bring back, but there's just nobody on the Dolphins that would garner that amount of points. They would have to have seriously the game of their career.
Yeah, and
it's so highly unlikely.
If you're looking at that game, I think Myles Gaskin kind of blew up last week, right? He had maybe 30 points or something. But if you're looking at this and you're thinking Tom Brady's going to blow up, because again, this is all correlation and it's really more about game matchups and game scripts. It's if you think Tom Brady's going to blow up along with Antonio Brown and Mike Evans, that means they're unloading, right? And they probably have a huge lead. you're not really thinking that the Dolphins on the flip side, in an effort to make a comeback, are going to be handing the ball off to Myles Gaskin and giving him the ball. They're going to be taking shots down the field to guys like Devontae Parker or Jalen Waddle or somebody like that, right? So when you're making that lineup, it just doesn't make sense to pick Myles Gaskin. So yeah, he blew up, but that's why he's not on this list as like the bring back here.
Right. And he got the onslaught, but we've seen it before. Brady puts it on. Like they don't really want to run the ball. They want to be aggressive. They want to keep attacking. They want to stay in rhythm. They don't care what the other team has, their score.
I feel like Brady's at a point in his career too. It's just like,
yeah,
what am I like? How much time do I have left? I got to worry about hurting your feelings. Like, let's just let this rip. I want to play as much as I can play, you know?
Right. So it's super sharp. I mean, it's super sharp. And then Tony and all that. But I mean, those are all good plays. I mean, they're all plays that we spoke about in some regard, whether they be some, of our cash type plays and so forth. Just with a great stack and a super sharp contrarian play and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, and moving over to the FanDuel side, some similar plays, but one that kind of pops off the screen at me here, Tony Pollard was on this winning list, which is pretty unique. Considering
he's gotten work though, and the matchup made sense. So
they want to run the ball.
Yeah.
They're not throwing that much.
Yeah, I mean, he by no means.
They're efficient when they do throw, though. They're very efficient when they do throw, but they want to run the ball, and they're doing it.
He by no means won this guy. I think it said was Captain Insano, which is an awesome name, by the way. Isn't that from the Water Boy, right? Isn't that the Big Show's name? Anyways, but he by no means won Captain Insano, the Millie here, but just a kind of a thing that jumped off the page at me here. Like, you would not think that Tony Pollard was the reason why, or part of the winning lineup in general.
And how many times have we talked about the Chargers for DFS, how awesome they are to play? Because
they're loaded with offensive players.
And it all goes through, for the most part, 4 guys. You're going to get the random Parham touchdown, but for the most part, it's going to Mike Williams, it's going to Austin Eckler, it's going to Keenan Allen, and it's obviously running through Justin Herbert.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the team you can stack every week. That was a terrible matchup on paper, but this guy probably ran MME, and that was a smart stack. You were going to get him at low ownership, and you knew where the production was going to come from.
Right. And if you're running MME lineups, that's what you want to do, right? You want to focus on games and just build your lineups around that. So he probably had a bunch of Chargers stacks. He probably had a bunch of Brown stacks. He probably had, other games too that were going to pop off, but this is what happens when you hit it right, obviously sky's the limit there. So interesting stuff. We'll do this every week. It's fun to analyze, play Monday morning quarterback or Wednesday night quarterback, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, good stuff. Let's move into this section here. It's called "Oh, You Didn't Know," where we talk about some random stats from the last week. This one that I'm about to drop right now is kind of unique. The Bills defense did not blitz Patrick Mahomes once the entire game. It says or in week 6, 2020, but no other team in the NGS era. What's NGS? I don't know why I can't think of what that is.
Next gen stats.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's why we keep you around, Miz.
That's right.
No other team in the next gen stats era has played a game without blitzing once. That's kind of crazy because the defense of the Bills is pretty good in general. You're playing Patrick Mahomes. You're thinking, blitz him at least once in a full game. How do you not blitz him once? And they didn't, and they absolutely bitch slapped them. So
yeah,
that's
kind of crazy.
That's impressive to commit to that and not get antsy and, oh, we got a big 3rd down, let's blitz them. Like, that's amazing to have that game plan and truly stick to it. And it worked.
Yeah.
Hell of a job by Leslie Frazier. Hell of a job.
Yeah. Moving over here to this next one, back to what we were just talking about. Justin Herbert recorded his 11th career game with 300 plus passing yards. That's not even 1.5 seasons so far. And that's the most by any player in his first 2 seasons in the Super Bowl era. that new mark broke a tie with Patrick Mahomes and Dan Marino. So Justin Herbert in good company there. Those are two names. If I'm a quarterback, I want to be mentioned with, and just in general, it's his 11th career game with 300 plus passing yards. When did he even start last year? Right? Because Tyrod was there, then he got stabbed in the lung by the trainer, and then like he hasn't even played a full season. Right?
He's unreal.
It's crazy.
He's a superstar. It's awesome, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, they caught lightning in a bottle there in Los Angeles for sure. And then they got that sweet stadium. If you're a Chargers fan, you're definitely jacked up about your future. That's for sure. Let's see here. Moving on to another hot team. Dak Prescott recorded his third game this season with 3+ pass TDs versus the Blitz. Just another stat to put a feather in Dak's cap of how he was able to come back and from injury, and there was a lot of doubters. He's got a massive contract. Is he going to be good? Are the Cowboys overrated? He's proven a lot of people wrong. Dak accounts for 3 of the NFL's 4 games with 3+ pass TDs versus the Blitz in 2021. Tom Brady has the other in week 1 against Dallas. So that's kind of, let me read that one again. He is the only quarterback outside of Brady to drop 3+ passing TDs against the Blitz, but he's done it 3 times, which means he's hanging in there. He's not afraid to get hit. Clearly, if the Blitz is coming and you got that bum knee, that's like what I hear when I read that stat more so, because that's like, I guess, like your subconscious, right? Like guy has he had a season-ending injury last year that was quite frankly just gross. Everybody's wondering if he could even ever walk again, let alone play football again. And the guy is literally hanging in there in the pocket in the face of blitzes and just dropping dimes and scoring touchdowns. Like, good for Dak Prescott. He also is averaging 8.7 air yards per attempt, which is just some nice, I guess, some more padding of that statistic there.
Dalton Schultz is really benefiting from all that too.
Yeah.
He's really,
Nobody guards him.
It's insane. Well, who are you going to guard? He's
like a top 5. He's a top 5 tight end right now.
It's
just wait until Michael Gallup's back too, and that receiving core is only going to get better.
Right.
And then finally here, another stat. Enjoy that you.
Yeah.
Another stat here. I threw this on there just because I'm a Devonte fan. Devonte Adams had 9 receptions for 193 yards on 10 targets down the seams this past weekend. Guy is just an absolute freak, man.
I love him.
He's fun to watch, and it's like so obvious. So like, I was watching the game on Red Zone and whatnot, and I'm watching
obvious, you're right.
with my buddy, and I'm just like I know when he's getting the ball, and I'm sitting at home on my couch. I'm like,
he big boys everyone.
It's so it's crazy. I'm like, I wish I had a guy like that on my team. It's just like Devonte Adams, one-on-one, back shoulder fade. Like, it's just automatic every single time. And Rodgers is the guy that will put it in the exact same spot every single time, which is crazy too. But yeah, Devonte Adams is certified freak. Just mark it down.
I've been calling him the best receiver for the last 3 years. He's
hard to argue that.
So good. He's so good. His footwork is unbelievable. It's out of this world.
I wonder what's going to happen to him next year.
I know, dude.
See.
Yeah, it's going to be weird seeing him somewhere else if he goes somewhere else. But
I would love to have him. I'd sell my soul.
Honestly, dude, I'm in that camp too. Throw him on the Niners. I'd sell my soul for Devonte Adams.
Oh my God.
They can have Odell. They can have Odell from the Browns.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see here. Oh, actually, I got some more stats for you. I was just on a different page. So the Lions lose another close one. Cost me a parlay, which was awesome of them. Thank you very much. Actually, I shouldn't even blame the Lions. I blame Alexander Madison and that fumble. Like, that literally, I saw that happen. I was like, is this going to happen? And then they obviously scored. And then I had the Vikings, I think, -3 because it was a teaser. And I'm talking to my friend and he's like, oh, you're fine. You got overtime. I was like, if you don't think the Lions at 0-4 or 0-5 or whatever the hell they are not going for 2 here, you're crazy. Like, and they went for 2, they got it. And then obviously whatever happened. They lost the game. But like, I don't give a shit at that point.
Right.
my -3 is out the window. So yeah, Lions lose another close ones. Jared Goff, since losing the Super Bowl, that terrible Super Bowl with the Patriots, his record as a starter, including the postseason games, is 18-19. So he's below 500. A little bit of a fall from grace when you don't have, Sean McVay as your coach and some stud running backs and wide receivers around you. Welcome to real life, Jared Goff. Even though you're doing just fine, you are basically shitting money, and I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of his wife. He's doing just fine. Like, I don't really feel bad for him, but
he does have stud running back, but he had the receiving talent is just like it's an XFL squad.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Which I love the XFL, don't get me wrong. And when the XFL comes back, everyone, your boys got you.
With The Rock. The Rock owns it now. So
Damn right.
back better than ever. All right, this next stat finally, Alvin Kamara had a season high 122 scrimmage yards and 2 scrimmage TDs, his first game since week 10 of last season with a rushing and a receiving touchdown. Now, Kamara was a guy that made our dust list last week, I believe. But yeah, he balled out.
Might have been 2 weeks ago. Kamara was on last week.
Oh, you know what? He was on our Goldfish. He was a Goldfish.
He was on a Goldfish. Yeah,
it wasn't dust. Yeah, he was Goldfish. Just proving us right again. Be a Goldfish, Alvin Kamara. Speaking of mustard dust, that wraps up the "Oh You Didn't Know" section. Let's move over to this one. Like I said, mustard dust. This is where I'll shout some names out, you guys. You basically tell me musting or dusting this week. I will start with, this one's almost too obvious. I don't even want to go here, but like Lamar Jackson. What are we doing this week with Lamar?
Well, I'm saying this, well, not just because he's good, and I'm a big fan of him, but
oh really?
Not just because he had a good
Devin
game.
sent me his list and he wasn't on the list.
And not just because he had a good game last game, but just the matchup, the total. It's got the one of the highest totals on the slate. Both defenses can be had. Both offenses have all the firepower to put up the points. He's going to be expensive, but it's going to be a great game to build around.
Yeah. He's gonna be high owned too after what he did last week.
You think he'll be spoken around the cash section there, Dev?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes as well, but just to add to the Lamar, we talked about this before the show. I also considered Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown for this section. Both quietly just absolutely crushing it, especially Marquise Brown, who comes in very cheap. He has 2 30-point games this year, so just something to keep in mind.
It's like 10 games in a row with double-digit points for Marquise Brown.
I had on the showdown slate, I had Andrews as my captain with Lamar and Marquise Brown, and it paid out pretty nicely. So it was.
Yeah, they were, and that's another team though where, like the Chargers, literally all the production goes through those 3 guys. So Andrews had that one, bad opening night, and then he's been awesome ever since. And
dude, I don't understand what the Colts were doing. How do you let Mark Andrews score the last 2 touchdowns and the last 2 conversions? Like, guard him.
Yeah, no, they were exhausted.
I was very happy because I cashed because of it, but at the same time, like, what are we doing here?
Be on the lookout for James Prochet filling in for Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins is probably going to be out. James Prochet would be the PPR guy.
What about the rookie that was getting a lot of love last week with a couple of injuries? I forget, Bateman, is that his name?
Bateman's the top
He's supposed to come back too. He's supposed to come back also, but we'll see. He'll be limited though.
Because a lot of people were expecting him to come off of IR last week, and he
did. We just didn't activate him.
Oh, since then he's been activated?
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't been activated yet this week, but the plan, as of what I was reading earlier yesterday.
Still hopeful.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, so jumping over to another guy that was pretty productive last week. That's why he's making the list, I guess. Ricky Seals Jones.
Yeah, that's, I talked about it in my article. I talked about it on the show. I love punting tight end, especially on DraftKings, because we talked about this. For some reason, that's the one position where they go cheaper than every other position. So the minimum price of tight ends is cheaper than the minimum price of running backs and wide receivers. So it's always guys 3K or below that you can get that are typically starting. We saw that with Ricky Seals Jones last week, who I believe was like 2,700. He finished last week with, he was 2,500. Finished last week with 9.1 DraftKings points, 8 targets, had 5 receptions for 41 yards. But the big thing is he played every snap but one. So almost 100% of the snaps. And he had played 92% of the snaps the week before when Logan Thomas got hurt. So the dude's on the field the entire game, faces a Kansas City defense that's dreadful, and he's still only $3,000. So I will be looking right back to the punt tight end this week with Ricky Seals Jones.
Yeah, no, I mean, he definitely paid off last week if you played him. So why not stick to that mantra? And also, he's probably not going to be high priced anyway. So I don't know what he is this week, but sticking with him probably isn't going to cost you too much anyway. So
nope, he cheap.
Yeah. What about this name here? Had a big game on Monday night, kind of his coming out party as far as 2021 is concerned. Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, man. I mean, we saw what he is capable of if he gets thrown the ball, right? They haven't been throwing to him at all this year. They tried to throw him some screen passes on Monday night, and it worked out very well. So being used all over the field. I know Marlon Mack is there, but at a elite tier running back, and I'm in this area, I'm going with Jonathan Taylor.
So you're musting him this week.
Yeah.
Okay, can respect that. What about sticking on the running back track? This guy has gotten a lot of buzz, especially if you are in season long. I play in a league with a free agent budget, and both of my leagues, and I had some guys that unloaded their budget. Devontae Booker of the New York Giants.
Deontay Booker, man. I mean,
Devontae.
Poor guy, because it's like Andy Dalton in the beginning of the year. Your first game you get to start against the Rams defense and Aaron Donald. Your line is already one of the worst in the league, top 5 worst in the league. And now your first game is against the Rams, you're going to get eaten alive. This is probably going to be cheap value, but it's really bad chalk. If it is chalk, it's bad chalk. If you're asking me, it's a terrible matchup. They're going to mix in the other guys that throw to also. So I'd stay away. Dustin.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's a shitty matchup. It's for a lack of a shitty offense right now. Who knows what Daniel Jones is if he's even gonna be there playing. I mean, I think all signs are pointing to him playing, like we said before. But regardless, there's just a bunch of stuff. Like their whole team is banged up, and they're not a good team in general. So, yeah, I agree with that call. I'm comfortable saying that he's a dust for sure. What about let's stay on track here with running backs. Austin Eckler. I mean, we love him on this show. Are we musting or dusting this week?
I'm gonna must Austin Eckler. It's a lot. Miz actually already talked about this matchup, the potential for it to be an up and down game with plenty of offense. We just saw Jonathan Taylor just absolutely torch these guys. Now you get Austin Eckler, who's just, it's probably McCaffrey and Eckler in terms of like do it all backs in the NFL. And Austin Eckler, he had slow week 1, 11.7 DK points. Since then, he has yet to score under 22.5 DK points. He's been unstoppable. He saw a season high 17 carries last week. He has a game with 9 catches this year. He had 5 catches last week, 6 catches another game. He's getting, your typical 5 targets from him, plus your 15 to 20 touches. super explosive when the ball's in his hand. And as Miz mentioned, a banged up Baltimore defense. So I'm musting Austin Eckler this week.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm a big Austin Eckler guy too. So I everything you just said is a reason to definitely must him this week. Also, we spoke about this earlier. That Ravens defense, which is what they're known for typically as a franchise, does not look the same. They have a couple of injuries, like you mentioned, Miz. They could not stop the run. I thought the game was so boring in the beginning of that game because the Colts were just running the ball down their throat. And I mean, something obviously clicked, and that's when Lamar took over. But I think it's a real weakness of the Ravens, at least as of right now.
It really is. It really is. It's scary how bad they are.
Yeah.
Can't tackle. Patrick Queen looks lost out there.
Yeah.
It's surprising.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right. So that takes care of mustard dust for this week. We'll keep an eye out, see how those guys are, see if we eat our words next week or not. Let's move into this next section. Final one of the day, one of our favorites. Gimme the Loot, where we talk about some of our Vegas picks and who we're leaning towards this week. But before we do that, let's review last week's picks, where we actually all had our first push. All of us took.
And we even said it was coming.
Yep, well, all of us, the trap game of the year, right? We all took Green Bay -3, and despite Mason Crosby's best efforts to lose the game, they actually did win, but it was only by 3, a field goal. So before we even jump into everybody's individual picks, we all pushed on that front. So Miz, to review your picks, you had the Giants +7 against Dallas. I actually had, while we're talking, Give Me the Loot in Vegas, I had a backbreaker of a loss on that one. I had the Giants +20, and I thought that was great. Then Daniel Jones gets hurt. Saquon loses his ankle. They're just going down this shitty road, and they look like they're going to cover. I think they were down 14, maybe a little bit more. I forget what they actually ended up losing by. They threw that goddamn pick 6 with like a minute left. And I was like, just go down. I was like screaming at the TV. I was like, just go down. Like, there's no reason to score this. And obviously they run it right back in my face. So anyways, Giants +7 did not cover because they lost by more than 20. And I felt that probably more than you did, Miz. But anyways, Giants +7. Houston with a nice surprising cover. You get the win there, +8.5. Really hung in there with the Patriots. I think it was their game to lose, and they actually did lose it.
And they lost it. Yep.
Exactly. So yeah, Miz, you went 1-1-1. Nothing sexy about that, but at the same time, you didn't have a losing record.
Let's fight another day, guys.
Exactly. That brings your total record to 8-6-1. So you're still up on the year. Dev, as always, you had the Cleveland Browns +1.5. Heartbreaker loss there. That's a loss.
That one hurt.
We mentioned you had Green Bay against Cincinnati, and then you also had Carolina -3.5 against Philly. That did not cover. Philly actually won that game outright. That brings your total record on the year to 7-7-1. So
forgettable week.
You still have 500. And then I come in here, San Francisco +5.5. Didn't really age too well. That's a loss. I had Green Bay, like I mentioned, but I also had New Orleans -2.5, and that did hit and cover. So that brings my record to 6-8-1. Let's be a goldfish and forget about our records and make some picks for this week. Who wants to do the honors of going first? Miz, theoretically,
I'll go first.
At 1-1-1, you had the best record last week.
I'll go first.
So you can go first.
Bills 5.5. They're going to absolutely curb stomp the Titans.
Yeah. I like that. What was it? -5.5, right?
-5.5.
Horrible number to actually wager on, but it is what it is. The next one would be the Browns -3. Kyler.
Dude, stop it. These are my 2 picks.
the Kyler injury to his shoulder that's going to be hampering his performance, plus Chandler Jones on the COVID list, and the Browns coming off a tough loss against the Chargers at home. I'm taking the Browns. And then finally,
they're -3. I'm sorry to cut you off. They're -3, right? Not 3.5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even better for you. I thought that you said 3.5. Keep going.
And then I would say well, I want to say the Ravens, but I'm not going to. But
Don't you do it.
I want to say the Texans +10. 10's a big number.
Back-to-back weeks with the Texans, who you called, if I play back the clip, you called them the worst team in the league. You said they were terrible when they were playing the Jaguars. In fact, I'm going to run it back anyways when I edit this.
And in case you guys don't know, but the Houston Texans, they're fucking terrible. And they literally have nobody on the team. I mean, they're so bad. They're going to get, they're literally going to get run over.
Yeah.
Oh, but the Houston Texans are fucking terrible.
You're taking them.
I am. And you know what? I'm totally wrong. They actually are playing really well together, despite the lack of talent. To an extent to cover this number of 10. 10's a lot for a Colts team that it played, maybe a little bit above their real selves on Monday night, which was a tough fought win. So to come back and kind of regroup and gather themselves, where Carson Wentz seems to kind of crumble in situations such as this, kind of have those really bad games that you see. I think that Houston can keep it in within 10. And at worst case, I'm going to push.
All right. Worst case, he's going to push, he says.
Yeah.
Be sure to touch on that later. Dev, you wanna jump in here?
Well, Miz took 2/3 of my picks, so
That's
I'm
okay.
not. That's no fun though. Last time we all picked the same one, it didn't go so well.
Why don't you
So
go first?
I am going to do the Browns though. I have to do the Browns because I do them every week. Give me the Browns -3. All the reasons Miz said. This feels like a must win. I know it's early in the season, but the Browns have played a lot better than their record shows. They're a really good team. They were one of my Super Bowl picks. So give me the Browns -3.
Mm-hmm.
Although, by the way, the Bills scare me. That's a good Bills team. Give me the Bengals -3.5.
Whoa.
Bengals are a good team. It was funny because Sunday we had all picked the Packers. By the time it rolled around to Sunday, I was like, the Bengals might win this game. Like I just really like that team. Their receiving core is nasty. Joe Mixon is really good.
Why is that line 3.5 though? Is it is Joe Burrow like he's got?
Well, Burrow's he's fine though. He's on voice rest. He's not supposed to talk.
I was gonna say I saw something that said Joe Burrow throat, and I was like, "What is that?"
He took a shot to the throat. He's on voice rest. So yeah, give me the Bengals -3.5.
I would love that. Sorry, honey, can't talk to you. I'm on voice.
Sorry.
I would just hold up signs. Just carry a whiteboard around voice rest. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. And let's go. Let's go with the Raiders +3.5.
Wow.
Simply because what we see happen a lot when a coach is fired, or in this case, resigned, teams tend to rally around, especially that first game. They tend to rally around that interim coach because the interim coach is typically a really popular guy in the locker room that all the players really like. So I just think that they're going to come out with some extra motivation and we just see it a lot. So give me the Raiders at
He's shaking his
+3.5.
head in disagreement because he absolutely hates the Raiders.
Oh, I understand that. And you don't
know
like, and
what?
I don't like him this week. This is a
really
terrible
a
matchup.
Playing the Broncos, who are not good
I
either.
might even bet. I never get an alternate spread going here.
No, but I just don't. It's tough because the Broncos defense is really good. But like I said, I'm playing with the emotion side of this game here.
All right. All decent picks. I can rationalize most of them. Happy you got your Browns in there.
Yeah, thanks, Miz.
Yeah. So I actually didn't do too much research here, which is probably in my best interest, the way things are going. So looking at the board, I think one of the ones I like the best is the Rams -9.5 against the Giants. For all the reasons we just mentioned, not to play Devontae Booker is all the same reasons why I'm betting for the Rams. Like, they're a superior team. The Giants are banged up. The Giants are just not good. The only caveat here is that old West Coast team playing at 1 p.m. on the East Coast. Those games never really fare well if you look at statistics and history, but I just don't see the Giants competing in this game. Especially with the way the current state that they're in. I don't even know if they had everybody, I would even consider it. But yeah, so I'm going Rams -9.5. I'm actually gonna go against Miz, not in the pick that he actually landed on, but in what he said he liked. I'm going the Chargers +3 against the Ravens. That, like I said, that defense is a little scary in terms of what they can't stop. The Chargers are rolling. The only thing, again, I'm picking, that's my second West Coast team. I'm picking coming East Coast. I'm going to lose one of those. I just know it. Like, I do just know it. But I just think, like, the Ravens had a tough game on Monday night. Definitely like one of those emotional wins where they dug down deep and came back. Short week, riding high. I think the Chargers are also riding high, but at the same time, they have more of a chip on their shoulder than the Ravens do. The Ravens have just not looked good in any of the games they've played. You know, even against Detroit, I think they're good. Like, I don't think the Ravens are a playoff team. I think they're a very talented team. They just haven't been convincing me in the way they're winning. Right.
Lamar's good.
Lamar is very good.
Lamar's been carrying them to these victories.
Yeah, but you know who else is good? Joey Bosa, and we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Joey Bosa is really very good.
So I'm just saying, like, you know, there's plenty of counterpoints here that we can go. And the only outside of that week 3 win or week 4 win against Denver, I've never really felt confident in any of the Ravens wins.
What if I told you that the Ravens are 6-0 on 6 days rest?
I'd believe you because you're a Ravens fan and I don't have those type of statistics handy. So.
How would that make you feel about your bet?
Even better, because true gambling mentality, they're due for a loss.
There you go. But by the way, if the Chargers win this game, what a stretch that would be.
For real. I mean, I'm just taking, look, the Ravens can win, just +3. I'll take a push even. At this point. Like a losing record. And then finally, oh man.
So worst case, you're pushing then,
huh? Yeah, fine. I'll match you on that one. Yeah, worst case, I'm pushing.
Push it. Push it real good.
All right. And then finally, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers -4.5 at home against the banged up Seattle.
I do like that. I actually looked right over that one.
I think Najee Harris is going to torch that defense.
Dude, Najee Harris is so freaking good.
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson's going to go nuts too.
Yeah. I just don't think Seattle is good. I think Russell was like the reason why they were competitive, and you take him out of it. It's like we said, like Geno Smith is not proven. I have all the confidence in the world to bet against him. This is a game on the road, which is non-Seattle. You know, Pittsburgh's a tough environment to play anyways. Pittsburgh's a decent team, at least offensively, and even defensively. Pittsburgh's weird. I don't have a vibe on them, honestly. I just think Big Ben is just getting old, honestly, is really what it comes down to. But I'm going Pittsburgh -4.5. So I got the Rams -9.5. the Chargers +3, and the Steelers -4.5.
That Steelers Seahawks game has shootout potential, sneaky shootout potential.
I'm smelling
Yeah.
a mismatch, maybe.
Huh?
Well, that's Sunday night game.
Oh, is that the Sunday night game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you play like the odd slates, overstack that game.
Yeah. I like the just a bonus one. I like the Cowboys at 3.5 as well over the Patriots.
Yeah,
Little
that one
surprise.
scared me. I looked at that one for a little while too.
Yeah.
Just couldn't pull the trigger. But at some point along the lines here, we're gonna have to start accepting that the Cowboys are good and the Patriots are bad. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
All right, so that takes care of this week's episode. I don't really think we have anything left to talk about. We touched on everything. Be sure to tune in Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. This week may be a little bit different, Dev. Me and Miz are both out of town.
Dev show this week.
So it's the Dev show presented by YFC.
There you
Maybe a
go.
couple of special guests, maybe not. Who knows? We're still figuring that out. But
Don't worry, Miz will have his picks for me, and I'll have my usual cash section. So, regardless, the info is all going to be the same as what you would get.
and you will have my moral support as well.
That's right.
that's all that matters most. So so that wraps up this week, guys. Be sure to tune in on that Sunday show. Like we said, it really does pay off, pays you dividends there. If you pay attention, listen to what we're saying. It's a simple, 50 to 60 minutes of just DFS knowledge, a little bit more technical and analytical than this show, where we try to keep this lighthearted and banter a little bit. This one is really just getting you ready for that Sunday main slate lineup lock. And like I said, check it out. Don't let us tell you, just see for yourself. Until then, I'm the host. These guys are the experts, and we will see you on Sunday. Take care, everybody.